Yeah, Steve couldn't handle it the weekend there. Me and Luke
Yeah,
really,
we took
you know.
over basically when we turned up.
Yeah,
So
I mean, like if you watch the live stream, we were doing everything. I mean, just
These two guys couldn't even give a good down command between them, never mind run a comp.
what do you mean good? We didn't give any.
Welcome back to Natural Strongman. For anybody that has missed it, we've just had the World Finals for Natural Strongman just happened this weekend. And joining us to have a chat about that are the three founders of Natural Strongman. So we have Luke Davies, Matty Costello, and Steven Wylie. Thank you very much for joining me, lads.
Thank you, Mark.
Pleasure.
So, where to start? That was a pretty epic first inaugural world finals, should I say. Stephen, how are you feeling now that it's finished? Because I know probably the last 6 months has been a build up to this for you.
Relieved, Mark. Relieved's the most. Relief is the biggest thing, but yeah, happy as well. Happy that it went well. Of course, there's things that it's just my nature and probably the nature of the guys as well. I'm sure they'll agree. Every time you run a comp, no matter how good it is, you're always thinking about what you could have done better. So I've already got some ideas for what happens in 3-4 years' time when I host Worlds again, and what I would do better. But yeah, happy for the most part.
The feedback, I think, that we all saw online and at the actual competition itself, it was mind blowing. The feedback has been incredible. For you guys, how do you feel? So for everyone, all three of you, how do you feel actually reading that feedback and getting that back? And does it make it all worth it, basically?
I think so. Yeah, we're all going to answer at the same time. Yeah, I think it really makes it worth it. I know Steve definitely dealt with most of the stress of this, but
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll agree like that it's been amazing seeing how happy people are with it. And it ran really well. I mean, like, it was a really, really good competition. I keep saying it was a great success, and it was.
Yeah, like I'm sure all three of us noticed things on the weekend that we weren't happy with, but no, it was probably stuff that nobody else noticed. We just like nitpick stuff, especially as promoters ourselves. I'm sure like people on the live stream didn't see anything that we noticed. And I'm sure the athletes probably didn't notice stuff either. I would say like for the most part, it was a massive success. I've had pretty much universal feedback from people watching on the on YouTube, people who weren't there. I think that's the most important thing, to be fair, how it comes across to spectators, because going forward, the sport is spectators that's going to drive everything. Obviously, we want to like put on a great show for the athletes there, and that's like our number one priority on the day. But in terms of it growing and like bringing in revenue and that sort of thing, is the spectators are like the number two priority, I think. So from that aspect, I think it was a massive success.
Yeah, even one of the guys here from our gym, he said he sat down to do some programming and he'd watch the live stream in the background. He said 5 hours went by, he'd done no work, and he was just watching the live stream full on all day Saturday. That's that's a compliment right there. Like,
yeah, 100%.
So it obviously went incredibly well. And from our last video, that obviously means that Matty and Luke were just the organizers of it. Because I remember you saying,
if it's a disaster, it was Steven's fault. If it's great, me and Matty were massively involved in the organization.
Masterminds.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve couldn't handle it the weekend there. Me and Luke really,
Yeah, we took over basically when we turned up. So
I mean, like if you watch the live stream, we were doing everything. I mean,
These two guys couldn't even give a good down command between them, never mind run a comp.
what do you mean good? We didn't give any.
I seen somebody put a picture up and it was like a bright red face, and it was like waiting for the down command from Matty. And look,
It was Keldo posted that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And we spoke about that beforehand. We wanted strict but fair judging across the board. Like, that's another thing that we really want to drive going forward is making sure that there's no soft calls, and especially when we're trying to push records and stuff like that, and we're operating competitions that we're calling world championships. We need everything to be above board in a consistent high standard. So the guys smashed it in that sense.
So that's actually another question. So for Luke and Matty there, you guys were refereeing for probably about 8 hours each day. How tough was that, Luke? How tough was that for you?
I think me and Matty, I said to Matty on the fingerless fingers, I've forgotten how to count. Like, like we both did it, I think, didn't we? Where we would just look like, I think he did 5, but I'm gonna go double check with the other person. By the end of day 2, it was tough, but I think it worked out quite well that the stuff that required the most like concentration in terms of making a treadment call was earlier in the comp. So like the overheads and the deadlift down commands and stuff like that. With stuff like fingers, it was just counting basically, and so it worked out okay. And the stuff though required less brain power. It was later on in the comp when we were probably running on fumes a little bit. We had a chat at the start of the day about like how strict we were going to be, and we wanted to be on the same page. And I think we managed that pretty well in terms of being on the same level. Like I know I was like kind of watching Matty up there on the sly when I could, and I think he was doing the same thing for me. So we were kind of like trying to be there. So we didn't want one of us to be up there and one of us to be down there, and vice versa. We wanted to be like, you know, the same level of harshness, if you will.
I don't think the athletes mind that either, that we were harsh, as long as it was fair. And like, people are rather good quality reffing than really poor reffing, because
I think
poor reffing is always a talking point, and like nobody wants that for the competition.
Like, and I don't even think it was harsh. It was like I was saying to, I think it was just making people lift to the actual standards of the sport. But I think because people are used to having soft reffing, all across the sport now. I'm not like picking one organization over another. I think the sport as a whole has been shit probably since I've been in it, to be honest. And like the whole 10 years, it's been pretty crap. So the fact that we just made people do it properly, I think it was a shock to the system for some people, but I feel like we were pretty consistent. And at the end of the comp, most people came up to me, and the feedback was like that it was really good. So
yeah, that's the word that was continually said on the live stream was consistency. The refs were strict, but very, very consistent. So I think he did a good job there. I hate giving you praise, but I think he did a good job. Stephen,
although I want to say when he did it, he made a couple of my athletes do things again, and I was furious.
You got to train him.
I walked up to him after a bronze overhead. I was like, "Yeah, you're a prick. You're shit to your job."
And actually, on that, so the people that were watching at home, will have noticed that at times you switched lanes. What was that?
So we both had clients competing that we coach. So we made sure that if one of Matty's clients was up, he didn't ref her, and then I didn't ref anyone from Chaos. So, we didn't want any sort of. Obviously, we wouldn't be biased, and if anything, we'd probably be more strict to our own clients. But we just didn't want anything there need to be any like questions or stuff like that. So it didn't really matter so much on like stuff like fingers where we were just counting and you couldn't really be biased. But on stuff like overhead and deadlift and sandbag to shoulder, we wanted to make sure there was like no question, basically.
And Stephen, for the amount of international athletes that actually came to this event, I think surprised a lot of people, because there was people from Finland there was people from all over, with America, with Charlotte as well. Do you expect that to continue? Do you expect that to increase for next year?
Absolutely, it'll only increase. We were unfortunate, and we had one or two people. Obviously, Charlotte lives in Scotland, but we had one or two who qualified from America who were fully intending on coming as well, who injury kept out. But also, we had people flying over from Canada. We had people, so it wasn't just Europe. We had Switzerland, Czech Republic had quite a big showing. We did have somebody from France who didn't show up, who I thought was coming. They had the t-shirt printed and stuff. But there was a good representation, and I think that'll only get bigger, especially with us having qualifiers on the continent next year.
And now, Luke, you mentioned that there was certain things on the day that you guys noticed that you thought could have been better, that possibly nobody else noticed. and I'll ask each one of you, but we'll start with yourself, Luke. What did you see, or what do you think could have been better on the day? So a little bit of self-criticism here.
I would say the warm-up area could have been a bit better. Probably had a bit more, probably policing, I would say, from us or from our helpers. That was probably the big one for me. A couple of the girls told me like they got not bullied off the bar, but kind of like there's probably guys warming up earlier than they should have, and stuff like that. And that would just needs more policing from our end. We should have probably had some. I think we actually got better at this as the weekend went on, and Nicola Bennett ended up going into the warm-up area and sort of policing it on day 2 and stuff. So like it was in the case like that was something we improved on at the comp. Like we spotted it, we're like, this needs to be better, and like the helpers sorted it out. So that got better for day 2.
And Matty, how about you? Did you see anything that you would point out?
Like the only thing for me, I suppose, and I think we'll all agree that day 1 probably went on a bit too long.
Yeah.
But there was difficulties with that as well, because the venue made us take the yoke outside. They wouldn't allow us to do it on the grass, which just slowed things down a bit as well. So yeah, I mean, that's the big one for me, I think. And I think we've all spoken about that, and we would try and make that a bit quicker. And like, again, day 2 was so much faster. Because no one wants to be hanging around too long. We all like to get through things quickly and get it done. So that would have been the only one for me, really. After what Luke said there, of course.
And Stephen, did you know? I know you were so busy; it was probably all a blur to you. But did you notice anything that you would be keen to change?
Yes, absolutely. I probably everything that the guys mentioned and more. Like when you're ultimately in charge of organising the comp, I think you notice more things that are wrong than anybody else. But I'll run through it, and I'll also explain why things were done in certain ways. So the squat, I think, was spot on. I think actually Matty should probably publicly say how good that the squat event went.
I agree. The squat event was really good, and I really liked it. I liked it, and I would probably do the same myself. Funny enough, after that.
You're welcome, Matty.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll send you on the clip of that, Steve, so you have video proof. We'll make that a meme or something.
I enjoyed the squat more than I thought I would.
Me too.
Yeah. So the squat was perfect, and from my point of view, the yoke was where the problem came in. There was always going to be a problem because the venue wouldn't let us do yoke or farmers inside. In my opinion, we can't have an 8-event comp without either yoke or farmers.
Yeah,
so I chose to do yoke based on the fact that we had done farmers in all the qualifiers and in the UK's finals this year, and last year we did the same thing. So I opted for yoke. In hindsight, perhaps doing farmers would have made the day go quicker. So that was something that I was picked up on. There was also, I had arranged for 2 yokes to warm up on, and there was only one, well, not even to warm up on. When the warm-ups were done, the plan was to go 2 and 2, set 2 yokes up here and 2 here. The same as the squat, people are getting their yoke heights done when the other 2 are going. They come back and then they go. I didn't realise, because we had a lot of kit that came in from sponsors and help from other gyms, etc., that we actually only had 3 yokes until it was too late, basically. And also one of the yokes that we did have was a brand new one from Strength Shop, which is very slightly different to the one to the other 2 that we were using. So basically I wouldn't have been able to do that anyway. So I was annoyed at that. I wouldn't say annoyed. I would have liked that to go better. And I think that slowed us down. I think also having to be outside, even though I expected it, that having to take all the plates outside and bring them back in just knocked us back a wee bit further than I had expected. I think we would have been done an hour quicker on the Saturday had we been able to do yoke inside and had the 4 yokes and been able to do the same as we did with squat. That being said, it was also a conscious decision to make the events that would take longer to reset on day 1, because day 2 we had the presentation and stuff, and we had to take down all the kit and take it away again. So I had expected day 2 to go quicker. Like Luke touched on, there was some the warm ups could have been a wee bit more organised. I was given that feedback on the Saturday, and we made arrangements for the Sunday for basically you come in the morning, the 57s and 64s are warming up. 5 minutes, like then the 57s get called over, they get put in a holding area before they go. Then another category can go in and start warming up. So it was like 2 categories per time.
I think even though that is on us as the organisers, I do think a lot of it's out of our control. Like we asked the men not to warm up too early, and then they just fucking did anyway. So it's like at that point you're like,
Yeah,
stop being dicks. But
yeah. But I think, as I say, I think it's all of our natures to be like, what could we have done better? But like, we literally left, and everybody was like, that was amazing. It was the best comp I've ever been to. Like, so many people said that it was the best comp they've ever been to. But I left still being like, right, what will I do better next time? So I think it's important to do that, or else you don't get better. We could all sit and give ourselves a pat in the back, but then we'll just get lazy and not push to make it better next year and so on.
Yeah, I think we're really sort of nitpicking now to find things that weren't perfect, but I don't think any of the athletes have actually come back. It's been all positive feedback. But like you say, it is important to be able to fix those little things so that it's even better for next year. I think, I imagine all of you would hope that athletes would put in the comments below or contact you and let you know if anything was, in their view, could have been better or anything like that, because that's always very helpful.
Like some of the things
we've all competed for years as well, and like we've gone to promoters comps and nothing has improved as far as like warm up areas and stuff like that. So we understand how frustrating it is for things not to be improving. So if people tell us, we will act on it. So we would be really appreciative if people did actually give us some, positive feedback that we're in areas we can improve upon. It doesn't have to be all positive. We're happy to take some criticism here.
And some of the stuff, it was like stuff you can only really see in hindsight. Yeah. And like weight selection, I feel like the deadlift was probably a little bit too heavy for the men.
I think,
but that was hampered by pull-ups and stuff like that.
I think perhaps we should have started lighter and took bigger jumps maybe for the deadlifts for the men. Although none of the opens finished it, did they? But Michael Tennant finished the 105s.
He's like an elite level deadlifter.
Yeah. But that's what we're looking for as elite level deadlifters.
Like
but maybe
if Alex's wife hadn't gone into labour, he would have probably finished the 90s.
Alex would have I would bet my mortgage that Alex would have finished it.
We're missing a few of 80s. But stuff like that is, I don't really see it as like a massive mistake, because it's just collecting data for future comps. And the more comps we do and the more high level comps we do, we can look back on previous comps to use that as like a level point of, this is how many reps won that, so this is the weight we'll use. Whereas this was the first year, so a lot of it was guesswork.
And I think also the standard will go up year to year as well. Yeah. So, but yeah, if our weight selection maybe on the deadlift the same way the women, given that 5 open women finished the deadlift ladder.
I think it was pretty spot on for most classes. I think it could have been a little bit heavier for the open women, but the rest of the women was pretty bang on. And
then maybe bigger jumps. Although, because I think no 57s finished it, no 64s finished it.
Yeah.
So you could maybe have put that up to 210, 215, 220 for the open women, and then taken 10 kilo jumps back, which would have meant that the 73s would have maybe been the same, which was, I think, pretty perfect for the 73s. Given that I think 2 finished it,
but then 82s as well. So
but then lighter for the 64s and lighter for the 57s. But yeah,
like I said, weight selection is stuff. Some people will get better the more comps we do. Because it's just like having data points. Like for I run the untested 80s men, and now I have 4 years of data to help me pick weights. Whereas this year we didn't really have any for an international club anyway.
And you mentioned obviously Saturday that it went a little bit slower. So I do have to apologize to all the people on the live stream that had to listen to Jack Harkin talk about his favorite sandwich for an hour. So I'm very, very sorry about that side of things.
Can we get rid of Jack?
Yeah, I think they'd be getting rid of me before they'd be getting rid of Jack, so that might not be a good thing.
I do think as well that some of it was like, I feel like Stephen, I might be wrong, made a conscious effort for it being the first year to have cool fucking events.
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
could have done a lot for reps, which would have been to go quicker, but I wanted it all to be photogenic and iconic.
Yeah.
And
I was looking at, like, on the day, like some of the athletes, like they would have felt a long day, or spectators there. But I know people watching the live stream then, which was like, how many thousand views, 6,000 views on the Saturday, thought it was all really, really cool. I never heard anyone that watched the live stream, complain about how long it took, because they were having so much fun watching all these really cool events. So it's like,
it was long for us because we were there from.
Yeah, me and you were doing such hard work all day, Luke, standing and stuff,
Well, we're the only people who didn't swap out with, and the commentators. So,
and Matty, I'm not happy with you there. It was actually 7,500 views. So
Harry,
don't be putting me down. Like, coming to that, how surprised are you guys at the level of interest, the level of viewership that the competition actually got?
Massive. I thought we'd have good numbers just based on the UKNS one, and obviously the UKNS live stream had very, very good feedback. I watched it myself. I really enjoyed it, so I knew we'd have like good numbers, but it really, really shocked me, to be honest, that we went over 10,000. And when I watched back a lot of the stream, like the amount of interaction we had and the people like commenting on the YouTube live chat was really, really good. So I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, Strength Results had like 18,000 views as well, didn't it, at the end of the weekend? Which that's really cool as well to see that many people checking it.
Which obviously shows that more people wanted to watch it. They were just obviously busy with work or whatever, which is what the Strength Results tells me.
And one of the important things, Stephen, that obviously Natural Strongman are trying to do is bring these sort of level of competitions to people that wouldn't have seen it before. So the difference being that Natural Strongman isn't charging for live streams for as long as possible anyway. How important is that to be able to get these competitions to everyone?
Yeah, very important. If we keep it free and we keep it accessible, the same as, and we really make the comps like we did, well, we think we did, fun to watch, then people buy in, and then they want to come. They maybe buy a ticket to come and watch next year live. They tell their friends. They maybe even start trying to compete in it. They're inspired by it because there might be people who tune in to watch a friend or tune in just because they heard somebody talking about it. It's really easy to watch, so they don't switch it off after 10 minutes. And they might be a 60-kilo female who's then seeing people like Charlotte, and they're like, oh, I could do that. Whereas if they're charged, they don't do it in the first place, or if they tune in and it's only open weight men, then they don't have any interest in trying to do it. So I think in terms of growing the sport, both from a spectator and participant standpoint, it's really important.
And you touched on there people that might watch that would possibly like to compete at Worlds. I'm going to ask each of you. So, for instance, somebody in Scotland, what is the pathway that they can do to possibly get to Worlds next year?
So Scotland's natural strongest man and woman will be on the last Sunday of January. I think it's the 29th. That'll be a 6-event comp, and it'll be ran quickly. Maybe if I'm lucky, Mark, you'll come over and live stream it.
Fingers crossed.
So top 3 from Scotland's then will go to UK's, and then top 5 from UK's will go on to Worlds.
And Matty, how about yourself for Ireland? What is the pathway there?
Very similar, except the following weekend we're running Ireland's. So Ireland's going to be the 3rd and 4th of February that weekend. And then again, the top 3 from each category qualify for UK's, or UK and Ireland, should I say, which is going to be held in England. top 5 from that then go to Worlds. It's basically the exact same pathway. We just have different weekends for our competitions.
And Luke, you're this pretty much the same pathway, but you're actually hosting UKNS next year.
Yes, I'm hosting UK. I think we call it UK and Ireland Championship next year.
I have to remember that.
So we don't get lynched. We need to remember it's going to be called the UK and Irish Championship. Because of that, I have asked somebody else to host England, just so everything's not in the same location. So the English Championship is going to be an English Championship. It's going to be split just because England has bigger numbers. So we're going to actually separate the women's and men's. The men's are going to be... They're going to go coincide with the Scottish and Irish. So the men's is going to be on the Sunday at the end of January, which I think is the 28th. And the women's is going to be the following week. They're both going to be held by Ash Lappage in the Midlands. He's in Nuneaton, I think it is. It's not far from Coventry, so it's bang in the centre of the country. It's basically, it's like I said, it's right in the Midlands, so it's not too far for anybody to get to, basically, in England. Have we decided how many people are qualifying from England this year, guys?
We haven't actually had the conversation yet, but I think
it'll be
more.
It'll be like 5 or 6, I'd imagine.
Yeah, more than just participation levels. It's going to be more.
Last year we had top 3 from 2 qualifiers. Was it 3?
Northern, Midland, Southern. So
yes, it was.
But you did have some categories that were not full, which is why obviously one of the reasons that we wanted to make in England. So I would say somewhere between 5 and 8.
Yeah,
but to be confirmed.
To be confirmed, there'll be between 5 and 8 from that, and we are going to be running a Welsh as well, a Wales Strongest Natural Man and Woman. That is going to be confirmed in the next week or so. But for any Welsh people listening, that will 100% be happening. We just need to iron out some details. It'll be a similar sort of time, early February, which will again lead on to the UK's and Irish Championships, which will be around May time.
There's obviously rumours, and I don't want you don't have to give me exact details, but rumours of qualifiers in Europe. Is that something that's going to happen? Is that on the cards?
Absolutely. We'll be looking to do probably 3 qualifiers in 3 different countries in Europe. It won't be like an English or a Scottish or whatever, but whatever country hosts it, other people will be able to go there. They'll be staggered throughout the year, as Worlds won't be to the end of September again. We'll probably put one around about January, February, one March, April, and one June, July. So if people are away or whatever another time, they can go to a different one. The locations that we're looking at are Belgium, France, and Switzerland. So on top of that, we'll have the online qualifier again. But the details will be released about that in the next week or two, and yeah, so people from elsewhere can come, and potentially a qualifier in Canada as well.
And just out of interest, I'll throw this at Matty, the online qualifiers, what sort of shape does that take? How does somebody actually do it?
Yeah, so that's going to be, it'll be very similar to the online qualifier from last year, where you essentially upload your videos. You'll be put up against, whatever amount of people into your category. We haven't decided how many people from that qualify, guys, have we, from each category so far?
Not yet.
So that's to be confirmed as well. But it's going to be open to the world, and we're looking at doing it around May time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will say open to the world with the caveat
that UK and Ireland.
UK and Ireland have to go through the UKNS
qualifying
pathway.
Yeah.
So you can't just skip England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales and just do the online qualifier. You have to go through the UKNS pathway.
Yeah. So we're looking to do that. A similar format to last year, where it's an event a week for 4 weeks. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're hoping to get that out early so we can tap into every corner of the world and really promote the shit out of it. And anyone listening to this as well, when you do see it come out, just because you have a qualifier in your area doesn't mean don't share the event. Make sure you share it everywhere you can so that we can reach as many people as possible.
Because
you don't know who's going to see.
We had people commenting on the event in the run up to Worlds and the YouTube saying they would have loved to be involved if they'd known about it. The only way we can get it out there is if people share the fuck out of it, basically. So yeah, like you don't have to do anything else. Literally, just when these posts come up, give it a share to your story, and that's it. That's all you need to do.
And a second to that, for anybody that is watching, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, because an awful lot of the information that you'll be looking for will actually come out on this YouTube channel. Stephen, you hosted this year. How excited are you for next year that you've a little bit more of a relaxed time? You don't have to do UKNS or UK and Ireland, sorry, and you don't have to worry about the Worlds. How nice is it to just go, I can relax a bit?
Yeah, it's really nice. I'm really looking forward to putting the pressure on the guys, just letting them do everything, coming over there, chilling out, relaxing, telling them I can't referee because my arm's sore, and just criticising everything that they do, telling them what they could have done better. And yeah, I might even get drunk, echoes from people. But it's good. It is good not to have that pressure, but still be able to help out. Obviously, UK's will be in chaos, so I'll be able to take kit down and help look out and stuff. But it's always a lot more pressure when the buck stops at you ultimately.
I think it's good that we don't have to do it every year as well, because otherwise it'd just be constant.
Yeah. Because you don't get a chance to stop.
So I feel like Matty is probably going to start planning Worlds soon. So
I'm already I was already looking. People are suggested venues all over the country. So
yeah, exactly. So if it was just the same person doing it every year, it'd just be a constant cycle of getting stressed about next year, doing next year, getting stressed about next year. So having this sort of cycle is helpful, I think, to all three of ours not dying at a very, very young age.
And Matty, after seeing the really easy time that Stephen had that weekend, how nervous are you with all of the planning? I know you've done a lot of comps, so you're not probably really nervous, but yeah, are you a little bit like, oh God, this is going to be a lot of work?
I think the biggest thing is finding an adequate venue. Because I know, like Stephen, the trouble he had with them not allowing him to use the Oaks, and there was a couple of things, with the week leading up where they were a bit painful. So I'm trying to find somewhere where I get to them early, give them all the details, find out exactly what they need, and I can learn essentially from the stress that Steve had in the week leading up to that, and try and capitalize on not having that happen to me.
Yeah, people behind the scenes won't have realized that we were like the switching of loading times and all these little things that happened.
It's very stressful.
It's super stressful. So
yeah, so it's just, I think the biggest thing is finding a good venue now for me, and I need to get on that early. I need to get on that in the next month and get it locked in, because where Steve had was absolutely brilliant, and I really like that kind of setup. So if I can find something like that in Ireland, it'll be absolutely ideal. Because I know we have a really good venue here in Galway, but it's just not big enough to handle that amount of lifters. So it has to be right, and it mightn't be in Galway. I don't know where it's going to be exactly, but I will find somewhere good.
And a quick one about the sponsors that were involved at the weekend there. How important are the sponsors for Stephen? Obviously, you had an awful lot of dealing with them because you needed equipment and you needed help along the way. How important were those sponsors?
Yeah, very, very important. Like the comp can't run, like all these cool events can't run without the sponsors. Although, so the Hell Medley, for example, Cerberus gave us pretty much all the bags for free, and for the bag throws, which was awesome. Strength Shop provided stuff, like I bought stuff from them. They also gave us a loan of stuff for the weekend, which just means that you've got enough stuff for warm-ups and stuff as well. So it allows you to be a wee bit more elaborate with the events, but also, yeah, it just makes it more fun and it's just more relaxed. But on top of that, Luke brought a lot of stuff up from Chaos, Martin Lennox, who deserves a special shout out for being the best MC in the business. Brought stuff from Hostile, and yeah, there was just. But the sponsors are amazing. Like we would have maybe done a sandbag for distance and stuff instead of the Hell Medley, which would have still been cool. But I just think as a spectacle, it wouldn't have been possible to make it quite as good without the sponsors.
So, quick plug, if you want to get involved next year, with obviously the massive views and stuff we had for this World Championship, reach out to any one of us, reach out to the Natural Strongman page, and get involved. We've shown this year that sort of proof of concept. We've shown that people are interested, and we've shown that the athletes enjoyed it. We showed that it was a high standard. So, any companies want to get involved, reach out.
Now, I know you don't like to take a pat on the back yourselves, but I think from everyone that did watch and was involved, athletes, etc., I think everyone is sort of saying you deserve a pat on the back. So I will say, great comp, guys. It was a fantastic event, and yeah, you all did an amazing job. For everyone,
as did you, Matt. As did you.
Thank you, Steve. For everyone that is out there, please subscribe to the channel. Head on over to Natural Strongman over on Instagram, because that's where all of the information will come out. And so it's very, very important. If you are interested in qualifying for these, you do need to be on these pages so you keep up to date with the information. But thank you very much for watching. And please, if you haven't watched already, click on back to the competition at the weekend. It's still up. It's still available for viewing. It's very, very entertaining. So make sure to have a watch of that. But for today, guys, thank you very much for joining me. And we'll chat to you in the next one, hopefully in maybe a couple of weeks' time.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Yes, thank you. Bye.